Welcome, listeners. This is Jamie Good, and this is Judy's daughter. I'm going to go back to the beginning. We're going to go back to where it all started. I was born in Fort Worth, Texas. I grew up in Van Zandt County between Grand Saline, Van, and Ben Wheeler. Most of my childhood started in the Ben Wheeler area where my grandfather had a farm. And those were some of the best days of my life. My grandfather had horses and pigs and chickens, and I grew up on that farm, with those animals and loving my life. I was a child who loved to get dirty. My mother hated that because she liked to put me in dresses all the time, but that's another story. I loved the dirt. I loved the animals. My grandfather dug this huge pond on the back of his property, and me and my cousins would always go back there and go swimming. I remember the older kids used to go skinny dipping, and I did get to a point at some point I did that, but I'll talk about all that today. But just being a kid, just having fun, enjoying life, doing things right. I think that was one of my fondest memories was my grandfather's farm. Grandpa Oliver, he was my hero. He reminded me of John Wayne. I think that's why I'm so addicted to John Wayne movies now, is because I can see my grandfather through him. He rode the horses. He had that cowboy hat and his big old boots. Lord have mercy. We used to spend the night at my grandfather's house, and there'd be a noise or something, and you'd see him running through the house in his pajamas and his boots on. God, I miss those days. He was a tall man too, well over 6 feet. Maybe that's why some of the men in our family are really tall. Obviously, I didn't get that because my mom was little. My mom was 5'1", so. But that farm kind of led me to be grounded in a way that I understood what hard work was. I understood that if you put in the work, you get this in return. But we lost Grandpa way too early. My grandfather actually has the funniest birthday. He was born on leap year. So February 29th, and we used to tease him because we were like, hey, aren't we older than you by now, Grandpa? But it was April 3rd, 1989. And my grandfather and my cousin Shane, who is my Uncle Ray's son, my Uncle Ray is my mom's older brother. Well, Grandpa and Shane were in the car, went to the store. Honestly, I think they went to the beer store. Grandpa didn't drink and drive, but he did drink, but he'd go to the store and get it and go home. He liked a good old-fashioned drink with his dinner. So they went to the store, and on their way back, and this happens in Brownsboro. And if you know where Brownsboro is, you got 39, and then there's a road where a gas station is that goes around, and it goes right there over the red light, and it goes over the railroad tracks that goes back towards the Ben Wheeler area. Well, Grandpa was coming down that road and fixing to go through the light or through wherever it was, and this old man ran his red light and hit my grandfather's car on the driver's side driver door. The impact hit so hard it knocked grandfather over into Shane's lap because Shane was in the front seat. And grandpa died in Shane's lap. That was traumatic for the family. But I can only imagine what my cousin Shane went through. I can only imagine what that man went through, or kid at the time. He was 16. That destroyed him. That broke him. Honestly, he never really truly recovered from that. He had a lot of issues himself, trauma, his own, spill with alcohol and just anxiety and depression. We lost him a couple of years ago also. So I hope, God bless you, Shane. I hope that you are I hope you're okay now. You're up there with Grandpa, so give him a big old hug for me. But yeah, losing Grandpa was traumatic for me because he was also my hero. He was my mom's hero. This happened on April 3rd, 1989, and he was buried on April 5th of 1989. That was the day of his funeral. That was also my 11th birthday. So it's not hard enough being a kid, but then your grandfather, who is one of your favorite people in the world, gets killed, and you're burying him on the same day you're supposed to be celebrating your birthday. I was not selfish. I was sad. I was heartbroken. Gosh, thinking about that again just kind of hit you hard, you know. But I remember that day because the funeral was at Hilliard's Funeral Home in Van. I don't know if anybody knows where that's at, but across the street from that was this little brown house, and that's where my grandmother lived for years. That's where I grew up. And I had a room there because my mom and stepdad were truck drivers, so they were traveling a lot. So during school years, I would stay with my grandmother so that I could go to school in Van. And, sorry, a little emotional here. After the funeral, we went over to Grandma's house, and that's where we stayed. A lot of the family, gathered and everything. And I remember as a lot of people were leaving, I'd stayed in my room, shut the door, and I was just bored and depressed, I mean, what do? It's your birthday, but you just buried your grandfather. Are you supposed to be happy? Are you supposed to be sad? How the hell are you supposed to feel? And I remember hearing a knock on the door. Now, before this, my mom, she couldn't go to the funeral. She struggled. She couldn't. It was too hard for her to say goodbye to her dad, her hero, her role model. She adored that man, and she was a daddy's girl. And I'm remembering a moment where I thought I seen her at the back of the church or the funeral home, but I can't remember for sure if she was able to show up or if she just wasn't able to go at all. And afterwards, while I'm at my grandmother's, like I said, I heard a knock at the door. And then a few minutes later, my grandmother come to the bedroom door, knocked and opened up, and she has this big box that's wrapped up with a bow on top. I was like, what's that? She's like, it's a birthday gift. Your mom just dropped it off. Well, I take off running because I'm hoping that maybe, just maybe, I could see my mom for a minute. But she'd already left. I just missed her. And she told me later on, she felt like her sadness would make my birthday harder. And when I understood that, I didn't want to see her crying and upset because we were all upset. But it would have been nice to be able to hug my mom on my birthday. But that was okay. I forgave her for that. It wasn't something that I was going to punish her for or hate her for. I was not selfish. So I get my box, I open it up, my grandmother's standing there, and I open it on my bed, and it's a stereo, the stereo that I have been wanting, because I love music. Music is my happy place. It's my feel-good place. And I was like a little girl, just like, oh, I'm so excited. So I open the box, and I take my stereo out and set it up, plug it in, and it's got the top where you raise it up, and you can play a CD on top, and then it has 2 cassette players in front on the bottom. And man, I just pulled out my cassettes. I started playing music. I just listened to music all night long until I fell asleep. And that was how I spent my 11th birthday. So at that moment in my life, I thought, wow, this tragedy sucks. This is going to stay with me forever. Lord, I hope I don't go through anything painful like this again. Was I mistaken? Really mistaken. fast forward 17 months later, and my mother was kidnapped. I was 12 years old. How do you do that? How do you deal with that? How do you, oh my God, how do you, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a prank. This can't be real. That was hard. That was hard. But I didn't express anything at the time because I don't think it had sunk in. I don't think it had really hit me what was happening. But we'll talk more about that. I have a special episode that comes out September 8th on the 35th anniversary. And on that day, you're going to hear what happened that night. The truth. My side of the story. I'm going to tell it all. But back to my childhood. Man, life was pretty good before I hit 11, you know. I mean, I did normal childhood things, you know. I remember my 9th birthday. I remember, you know, my mama always taking my pictures, which is funny because when I was 6, she gave me my first camera. It was one of those little disposable cameras. And she used to develop the pictures after I ran around and took pictures. She'd develop them and make me a little album out of them. My mother was so crafty. Oh, she made all the curtains in our house. She made comforters. She made quilts. She made all my dresses. I'm not a dress girl, okay? I'm a jeans and t-shirt country girl. I used to hate wearing a dress. And it was funny because my mother used to I had really long hair. So she would braid my hair up. And you remember Princess Leia? She'd braid my hair and put it up on my head. She'd do it, all these twisty things, big braided ponytails, and put me in these cute little dresses, froofy dresses, sundresses, all that she made. My mom hardly ever bought clothes for me when I was little. And she'd put me in this cute little dress, and don't you go outside and get dirty. What I do, I go outside and get dirty. I love the dirt. I love to get dirty. I love to build things. I love to play with bugs. And like, I was a tomboy. I was a tomboy. But there was a time I remember when I was 6 and she'd got me that first camera. I went outside and I started taking pictures of like dirt piles, ant piles. There was a little boy that lived next door at one point, and he had all his little dump trucks over at my house because we had a dirt mound. And I would take those little dump trucks and set them up on the dirt mound and put dirt in them, and I would take pictures of it, like real close up from a low point. And it cracks me up now today. You see all these people doing, like when their kids go back to school and you take a picture of their kid leaving for back to school, and it has all their little, oh gosh, Andy and all the kids, you know, the little animated things, Toy Story, all the little animals, and they take pictures and make it look like it's their friends. I was doing that when I was 6 and 7 years old, people. Like, I did that before it was a thing. I wish I had all those pictures. My grandmother's house when I was, I think, 8 or 9 or something, burned, and we lost all of that because all of that stuff was in her house. That hurt. But I still have the memories. The memories will stay with me forever. God, I loved those days. But there were some bad. Really bad. There were moments that I can look back on and remember no child should ever have to go through that. And I know my kids went through some bad things because my first husband, their father was abusive to me. So they seen things that they shouldn't have. They experienced things that they shouldn't have had to go through. And that was bad. But honestly, what the things that I seen as a child that my mother went through, it was a horror story. It was horrific. There's nothing like seeing your stepdad beating the crap out of your mom, beating her so bad where he's kicking her with boots in her chest, crushing her ribs, punching her in the face like she was a punching bag. And you're so little, you're in your room hiding and screaming and crying, praying, please do not kill her, please do not kill her, please don't hurt me. I don't know how people do it. I don't know why you get so angry you take it out on another human being like that. It's wrong. But if you have that much anger inside you that you cannot control it, and you're now taking it out on someone else, physically and mentally, you need to notice that it's not right and you need help. You need help. Do not hurt people. Why do people hurt the ones that are closest to them? The ones that love them the most or the ones that get hurt the most? That I never understood. There was actually a time that we lived in Van, Texas. The street it was Mule Street. Mr. Mule, he had a bunch of little houses out there across from the Van school. And we lived in one of those little houses from him. It was a tiny little house. I was 9 years old. I remember that's where we had my 9th birthday party. My mom invited like 4 or 5 of my closest friends. We had cake and ice cream, and one of my best friends at the time was Amanda Garcia. God love her. She ended up going down a bad road. I think she eventually went to jail or something. I can't remember for sure, but I mean, we lost track after middle school, but she was one of my closest friends, used to come over and spend the night with me, and she made me feel safe. I could trust her. I talked to her. I told her things, and I just remember that birthday party, some of my closest friends, and it's crazy how you can have the happiest memory and then a second you have the saddest memory at the same place. There was an incident that my stepdad beat the crap. I mean, this was a beating like we later found out neighbors could hear her screaming from their house, from inside their house, and one of them had eventually called the cops. Again, I was 9 years old. This was probably a few months after my 9th birthday, and I got tired of watching my stepdad beat the crap out of my mom. I got tired of it. And I remember my mom, she always told me, do not interfere, because I don't want him to hurt you. Well, I interfered. I ended up getting hurt a little bit, but I did stop him from killing her. He was trying to kill her. My stepdad was sitting on top of my mom. She was on the ground. He had his hands around her throat, trying to choke her to death. She was trying to scream, and it got to a point, I was in my room, and I could hear her scream, just getting weaker and faint. And it almost got to a quiet moment, and I could hear him just like he was growling. It's almost like the closer she was getting to being weaker and weaker, the stronger and louder and more aggressive he got. I almost feel like it was almost like exciting him. Like he was getting more off of her getting weaker. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. I can't let him kill my mom. I went to the kitchen and I got a big butcher knife, and his back was to the opening from where the kitchen and the hallway was. in the living room. So I got this knife, and I remember going in there, and I put the knife to his neck, and I wrapped myself around. I'm holding the handle with one, and I've got the blade of the point of the other, and I'm squeezing it. Now it's cut my hand, and I've got a scar, just a slight scar, where I was bleeding. You could see the blood running down my wrist. I'm squeezing this knife around his neck, and it literally got him to where he let go of her so she could get her breath back. And I remember just squeezing the knife and squeezing it. And within like maybe, I can't time that time. I can't even put into to words what the time was then. To me, it felt like an eternity, but it was a matter of seconds. Cops pushed in the door. They came to me. They got me off of my stepdad. One pulled my mom out from under him, and the other one just slammed him to the floor, put him in cuffs. And I remember he had this spot across the bottom of his neck, this one little line right here, and a little bit of blood was coming down. And I remember the cop asking me if I was okay. When the ambulance came, they, checked my hand and wrapped it up. They got her in there, put oxygen on her, and was trying to help her get some breath back into her body. Her lips were already turning blue, and she was already beat up. I mean, she had blood coming out of her nose. Her lip was busted. Her eyes were already black. And the cop, I'll never forget, he said, "Honey, you just saved your mother's life." I play that in my head over and over, thinking, why couldn't I have been there to save her life when I was 12? Oh. Yeah, that sucked. Man. Yeah. There was some rough times, y'all. There was some there's some really dark times in my childhood that I don't think I've still fully dealt with, now that I think about it. I remember, so apparently my stepdad hurt me as a child from the time that I was 2, like right after my mom and him had gotten married. Not long after that, sometime between 2 and 3, all the way up until I was 6 or 7 years old. And I had no idea. I did not know the things that he did to me that were, let's just say, not appropriate for a grown man to do to a little girl. I didn't know it at the time. I was 15, and I had a nervous breakdown because apparently I bottled a lot of stuff inside of me. But I had to go see a psychiatrist for a while to help me deal with a lot of the stuff that I had held in from my mom's kidnapping that I never let it out. And when I went through that with the psychiatrist, she hypnotized me, and apparently a lot of things that I had locked up as a little girl, they say when you're traumatized, you can take things that hurt you and you put them in a box in the back of your mind, and you like lock it and throw it away, because it's the part of you that's protecting your insanity and your peace. So I didn't know that I naturally done that to myself until I had been hypnotized by the shrink, and she opened that box. It's almost like my own Pandora's box of, oh my God. And then I had to deal with all of that again and relive it. And I don't think I still ever really worked through that. I never got help for that. And I'm just now admitting that. Wow. So, with all of that, just kind of putting it back to where we are today, my mental capacity or my mental state, I'm great. I'm okay. I really am okay. I have bad days, like anybody else who's gone through something sad. I do feel like the last few years of my life, I've seen good. My husband is amazing, y'all. After all the traumatic relationships and trauma that I've gone through as a child or a adolescent, young adult, he has shown me that there are good people out there, and his hug is my safe place. When that man wraps his arms around me and hugs me, I don't feel scared. I don't feel worried. I'm safe. I'm okay. And honestly, I feel like the last 7 years with him, he has been my therapist. He has been, and he doesn't even know it. He's helped heal a lot of pain that I had because he's shown me true love. He's shown me how to treat people and how to be kind, and that it's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. I'm really okay. Talking about childhood. Yeah. Was mine the best? No, not particularly. Was it the worst? I'm sure others had worse. There's a lot of other things that I went through as a child, but we can save that for another time. I really want to thank you all for listening. I want to thank you for just taking the time out of your day to listen to my story and understand me and where I came from and what I've gone through. It hasn't been the easiest journey. It hasn't been the hardest journey. But I feel like what I went through as a child kind of prepared me for where to be now. And I think it's helped me understand that things could get worse. Shit could get real. But it's also taught me that it's okay. And I'm okay. If you've dealt with anything traumatic and you don't know how to deal with it and you need someone to talk to, I'm always here. I'm going to tell you my story, but I'm also here as a listener. And if you ever need advice, ask me how I dealt with something, I'm here. I'm here. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope that this can reach someone and help them understand that it's okay. It's okay to be broken. It's okay to be hurt by someone that you trusted and you loved, because that doesn't reflect who you are. It doesn't reflect who you're going to be. It's only a lesson in your life. It's a chapter. I am 100% all about chapters. I learned that in your life, every 7 years from the time of birth is a chapter in your life. Those first 7 years, child. The next 7 years, young adult, young adolescent. The next 7 years, you're going into the adulthood, and so on. Every 7 years, you go through things that could change you into a good person or into a bad person. It's all about how you handle it. Do not hold things in. If you need to talk about something, please find someone to talk to. If you have anger, so much anger that you don't know what to do with it and you're afraid you're going to hurt someone close to you or in general, ask for help. Find someone that you can talk to. Take a boxing class. Take a kickboxing class. Go do karate. Go running. Do anything you can to get it out to help you and keep you from harming someone else. Because you could be the reason someone else turns into a bad person. You could be the reason someone commits suicide because they can't handle what you've done to them. Don't be that person. Help someone. Don't hurt someone. Thank you for listening to today's episode. We'll be back next week for a new episode and see where the journey goes. Thank you.